First off, I want to welcome you all. Before I run my mouth, I thought that I should start with a crawl. Walk you right into the venue with this dope-ass guitar. Crafted feelings that are in you while I'm drafting these bars. Take a seat, then a sip, or even pull out your jar of that medicine that's heaven sent and meant to be sparked. And if you like to be sober, you can stay as you are. Only came here to spar from up close or afar. See, I landed with a backpack. I told myself 3 weeks, then it's back to the old. Pack up that knapsack.
Episode 3. Next on deck.
Next on deck. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you joining us again for another topics of what? What are we talking about this week, buddy?
My wife wants me to talk about revenge versus justice, and is there a difference?
I don't know.
And one topic I want to talk about is, we mentioned it earlier, is I feel like I need to explain myself a little bit so you understand where I'm coming from and how I am and when to expect me to annoy you because we're not the same. So I'm going to be selfish for a little bit and talk about myself. I think you had mentioned you want to talk about the GameStop issue.
Definitely want to talk about some current events.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so how about we start it off with GameStop?
All right. So I don't know if you've heard in the news lately, especially this last week, there's some happenings going on in the financial world, and I, by any means, as an expert in this, I'm more of a lurker. I'm more of just an observer in what's going on.
But you're in it, though. I mean,
I'm in it,
meaning
because you
have investments.
As of Wednesday, yes.
No, I know, but you went ahead. But then there's people like me who still see it and don't know enough to get into it.
I mean, I don't blame you, and the reason why I am in it is because I'm a degenerate, right? And I'm a gambler, and I'm young enough where if I lose, $1,000 to $1,500, maybe $2,000, it's not really going to make or break the bank.
Yeah.
But it's a chance for a gigantic upside, which gives me a little bit more excitement.
No, you like gambling.
I do
scared
like
to
to
gamble.
I'm a poker player, at heart. I've been playing poker, as a hobby since 2000. Well, probably since the senior year in high school.
Yeah.
With the Moneymaker and World Series of Poker, but not seriously where I actually put time into learning the game and really trying to become better up until about 2010.
Or seeking sponsorships.
Probably before that.
Like you're not seeking sponsorships.
No. But
are there any parallels between stock trading and poker?
Absolutely. and when you're playing poker and making bets, you got to have the timing right. Right. And you pick up on reads. So in the stock market, there's certain reads that you can make while analyzing stocks graphs, right? But there's parallels to street life too, right? If you're slanging and whatnot, and I'm not advocating for that. And this could be slanging merchandise in a store, right? But you buy low and you sell high, right? So that's
say that again.
You buy low and you sell high. So it transfers over in stocks. You want to buy low, right? But right now, you kind of want to get as much stock as you can because this thing could be increasing to the numbers of $1,000 per share.
What did it start off at before everybody started making this big thing?
Let me back up now and kind of explain that. So there's something called shorts in stocks, and big gigantic hedge funds will basically.
What is a hedge fund? As I ask you this, I'm only asking because I think I know, but for you to be in it, you've probably done a little more research than I.
Barely, but all I know is that they play with billions of dollars. They do a lot of betting, and they play with so much shares that they literally can influence a stock. And here's what they do is they'll take a stock and analyze it and say, I think this stock is going to get even worse.
Okay.
And you can bet against it saying hey, I think this stock is going to get worse. And that's called a short. And so you find these gigantic hedge funds that have billions of dollars to play with, and they make these gigantic bets. And they made that bet against GameStop when it was about $10 a share or something like that. And just to fast forward, we got to speed it up, is that there's these dudes, these day traders, random dudes like you and I, but are just doing day trading all day on the computer, right? And making small gains, but doing it every day, making a living off of it. Mm-hmm. And so they analyze it and say, hey, this stock has, I don't know the exact percentages, but the percentage of stock that the percentage of shorts that this stock has, it might be a good stock. And then what GameStop did is they got a new board of directors guy, they got a new owner, the majority owner, and GameStop is going to reinvest in itself to become more virtual stream, right? Okay. They missed the mark. It's a brick and mortar, like they sell tangible things, right?
Yeah, they sell games.
And they sell games, but that kind of is going out of the market because you could just download your games now.
Yep.
And so they missed that mark of going into streaming and whatnot and being able to download stuff from GameStop itself. So they want to reinvest in that.
Okay.
So enough people were like, hey, A plus B, dude, it's going to get us to C. And
right.
C is like
they
up there
see
on the moon.
Upside. They see an
they
upside.
They say a gigantic upside. And so they're like, hey, I like the stock. I like the stock. I like the stock. And so
as more people invest in it, what happens?
And so, all right, so they make that short at a certain number, right? They think that this stock will be leveled at around $11.
So it's like the over-under in a basketball game.
And so when you find that out, you can bet. So here's the thing about shorts. They have to buy whatever the bet was.
Okay.
So the reason why they bet against it is to get people, oh, so-and-so's like betting against that. That means the value of the stock is probably not that good.
Right.
Right? No one would put that much money into it unless this is going to, tank.
Right.
All right, sell. Let's get our money while we can. And so, poof, and then they rebuy, boop, and whatever that big
the difference
is, they get that in profit.
Oh, okay.
And so when they buy back, that's how they make their money, dude. It's real easy like
so
that.
So is this, and my gift is oversimplifying.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And drawing parallels. So you're telling me that this is like when people used to buy shit on eBay, buy and sell on eBay.
Yes, to a certain
extent.
But there's no ceiling in whatever the value of this can get because they bet against it so much that when they have to buy back, there's no necessarily like time frame that they have to buy back, but they have to buy back within that year, quarter, whatever it is that they decided.
So you were telling me that if it was at 10 and now it's say 25, what is it right now?
325.
Okay. So what happens to if I'm a person who bet against it tanking? What happens to me? If I bet against it, do I have to eat that cost and buy it back at the
if you're just I don't know if retail purchasers can do that.
Okay.
But yes. So whatever they buy back, they have to buy it back at that current price at that time.
They couldn't do it at the okay.
So yeah, dude.
So they have, instead of the profit, it becomes a loss.
A gigantic loss, and they've already lost in the 30s of billions of dollars.
Okay.
And it's only going to get
and
worse.
They're mad,
so now
right?
They're absolutely freaking out.
When I say they, GameStop's not mad.
No.
When I say they, it's the upper echelon of traders.
Yes.
Okay.
And
the big boys.
And it's connected to, so we got the brokers, right?
Okay.
The firms, and then the banks, and then eventually, the Federal Reserve will probably have to get involved. And at that point, we're going to be able to say that a small group of traders, not inside traders, but just traders that collectively like a stock,
can influence.
It can influence and change and maybe even destroy a financial system that was built to never benefit the small guys like me, but always to benefit the gigantic billionaires.
Because they could shift money around.
They shift money around, they lower stocks, and then they sell it and make that margin profit, but we never let it get down. So when I say we're talking about Wall Street bets, and I'm brand new to it. I'm I'd never got into.
Don't crucify us. If anything, educate us.
Please. If you ever read Reddit, they use some words in there that are quite funny. I'm one of those. I'm not going to say it just because it's bad.
A newbie. We'll just call it a newbie.
Call it a noob. And so when they buy back, they're going to have to buy back at that high price because we never let it get below whatever they bet it against. And so it's always going to be a loss from now on for these guys. If you watch all the market shows, these old guys are absolutely freaking out. And here's what I found out is like they have videos of these same people talking about shorts as being something that they recommend big hedge funds to do.
Right.
And now all of a sudden it's bad because they got caught. They got their hands in the cookie jar, and they're going to get absolutely punked. And big banks and big hedge firms, I think in the next, month, will end.
Yeah.
I think at least one or two. Like these people are absolutely freaking out. Their whole way of life is now coming to
their
a screeching
system has
halt.
been exposed.
Imagine being $10 billion in your net worth or whatnot, right? Imagine that, and then imagine the notoriety that built up, and then now imagine going down to, still rich,
right?
$100 million as your net worth. Imagine what that's going to do to these people's egos, their family, their way of life, everything. It will change dramatically. Now, granted, their egos are up here, and they are not going to give up.
Right.
And that's why this is like literally a game of chicken. Because they haven't changed any of their leverages. They still think that it's going to go down to $11
And let me ask
bucks
this.
a
Are
share.
they asking that because in true American fashion, or just not American, man, just in true poker fashion, sometimes people have more money to bet than you do? Does that come into play here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's people that got in at one share super high, and then there's people that, are YOLO, you only live once. And what that means on Reddit is that you took everything, every dollar that you could muster up that you have available, and you literally bet it on there. And that's how they do it. They have so much money and they bet, and even just a small uptick in the stock, right? That's, maybe $1 million.
Right.
Because they put so much down on it.
Yeah.
Right. So if you take a stock at $5 and it raises to $6, but you bought $1 million, right?
Right.
It's just a ton of money, right? So that's how they make their small gain. That's how they make their gains, but they make so many small gains over, let's say, the week, the
aggregate of everything,
that it just builds up, and they make like $50 million a week, man.
So now let me ask, what do you think today is Sunday.
Today is Sunday.
The 31st.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen by the time our next show, next Sunday?
I think the GameStop stock will be somewhere around $750 to $1,000 a share.
Okay.
And that's a good uptick. And I think that the majority of the Wall Street bets traders are going to continue to advocate to hold. And here's why. They have millions of shares that they have to buy back, but you can only buy back in bundles of 10,000, right?
This is GameStop?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when they buy this over, and this is called the big squeeze, is when they actually try
I've
to
heard that term.
So
big squeeze and short squeeze, those are what I've heard.
And so when they buy back, think about it, you can only buy, and you have like, let's say 5 to 10 million shares that you have to buy back. You can only do so much because it comes in bundles of 10,000. So this squeeze might be over the time of like, let's say, a month.
Okay.
And I just think that this graph is just going to continue to rise, and I don't necessarily know where the ceiling is. But for people like me that only have a few shares and whatnot, like you just got to pay attention every day. And when you see that, dropping down and, you want to make a profit, go for it. But I think that, so there's this guy, Deep Fucking Value on Reddit, and that's his screen name. Mm-hmm. And he's posted screenshots of his investment, and he bought about $100,000 of the shares when it was about $18.
Okay.
And now his gains are in the 33 million range. But he hasn't sold any. He's holding, bro. And so that's the crazy thing, because he continues to post his gains every day. He's not pulling out. He's just showing you his page that he sees on his app or whatever. And people are in the chat like, man, if he's holding, I'm holding, bro. It's like, dude, if this guy's holding, we're holding.
But he can probably afford to get back his $100,000.
The joke is he might be able to be the first trillionaire.
Is he everyday dude?
Yeah, he's a roaring kitten on YouTube.
Is he that's his business though?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
He's a day trader. He's just a random dude. It's pretty intelligent, and everybody at the beginning of this was telling people not to do it. He's the only one that was just like, eat it, like 50 grand's like, 10% of my net worth. Like, I'm gonna gamble.
Yeah.
And it's paying off, and
So for people, I guess for other people.
I'm not telling you to get into it.
Well, no,
okay? If you're not into it, and you don't know
that a lot of
please
people
don't
are
do
going to ask that. Like, should I get into it? I would say this.
We're not giving advice.
How much are the shares?
At this current price, and it goes up and down. I was lucky to muster up 2 additional shares when I saw this the drop, and it went all the way down to 181, and so I swooped one up. But it's about $325 right now.
So if he's saying it's $325, my advice to you is, if you have $700 that you really don't give a shit what happens to, literally, you do not care what happens to it, by all means invest.
Yeah.
But if you don't, I would say pick a different stock with $20.
Okay, so the other stocks to be on the lookout are BB, which is BlackBerry. You got AMC, which is the American movie
Didn't they file
company.
bankruptcy?
They got shorted again, right? So the reason why I'm bringing it is because we can look at the percentages of shorts, and these companies are shorted the most. And so a lot of people on the internet are like, you know what? It's not really about the money, Stan. We're trying to set a message. And a lot of people don't like the shorting. Betting against a company, think about it, it's very kind of rude and evil. And it's like, really, bro? Like, what do you mean? Like, that's going to drive down the price of my stock and my company.
Yeah, but if you have skills in assessing something, I don't think it's rude. I think it's business.
Yeah, and so there's big businessmen that don't like it, and that's where Elon Musk came in, and the other Facebook guy, Chamath something or other. Mm-hmm. And they come out and they're like, I like the stock, I like the stock. And they have millions of followers on Twitter and shit, and so bunch of randoms like me.
They can influence people.
Yeah, man. And I'm shout out to Kylan out there, one of my buddies who told me about this on Tuesday evening, and I had a little bit of money uploaded in the morning,
But you also said something that was key, which was, if I lose 1,000 or 1,500, I don't like it, but I can continue my current way of life.
Yeah, and so I'm used to that because I played poker long enough where I've been in $1,500 downswings, and you get out of those.
Stan will never be in a $1,500 downswing unless we're going somewhere. We're going on a vacation, or it's an investment in a laptop or something. Like, I'm buying something. I'm scared money. And I know they say scared money don't make money. I got a job. I make money there. I can't gamble. I'm not good at gambling.
Yeah, and it's just something that I've been fortunate. I've in no way.
No, you and my friend Tony are pretty, and his wife. Like, I've seen some people that they've not lost, and they've actually gained enough for me to say, okay, you've got it down.
Yeah.
I know no one will ever have it down enough to just. But
I can't make a living, but overall in my life, I'm a winning poker player.
Let me ask this: if you had a sponsor, similar to the person that had 100,000 shares at this, your gains would be a lot bigger to where you probably could make a living.
Yeah, but life happens.
I'm not saying
yeah.
On the bigger picture of things. If you had somebody you have enough skill to where they could sponsor you, and you could make enough money back as opposed to you sponsoring yourself.
I could have a conversation with a professional poker player, and that guy would be like, no, or a girl could be like, no, you know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I can hold myself. I know the I don't want to be making you a better poker player, but I could teach someone from nothing in order to be a good winning poker player. And that's because the way it was back in the day is online poker. So old days you would play one table, right? Mm-hmm. You're live in person, right? But the internet comes along. I can pull up to 15 tables all at once, and that's what I did. So I had 15 low stakes tables,
Jesus.
And that's how I learned how to play poker. So the way you get better is by playing hands,
right?
And in the span of about a year,
hours
or
10,000 hours of mastery,
we played probably for like 2 summers. And then I was going to school full time. I probably played over 1 million hands in like a year and a half.
Okay.
And so
that's repetitions. Taking it back to a sports term, you had 1 million reps, which by default should make you better. And if it doesn't, you should quit.
Yeah, and my downfall in poker is like the ego came in and I was like, I could play this. I'm winning at this. Where in reality, if you look at my graph, I was only really good at one specific type of poker, and that was tournament poker. But I always wanted to play quick, 2-hour 90 mans, right? 90 person max. We all get the same amount of chips. Winner gets.
It's a bluff contest
15,
at that point
16%. There's a lot of bluffing, yeah, of course. But anyways, I was able to, have like basically a part-time job. But then, we got pregnant and I had to get a legit job, consistent money. I couldn't go on $1,500 down swings any longer. So I kind of slowed down playing, but I would always bink a tournament here and there and pull in a couple thousand.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in between here and the next show, because there are a lot of parallels between poker and investing.
The stock market is pure gambling. Anybody that tells you differently is bullshit.
Just like they say there's a science to it, and there's a science to blackjack also, right?
But it's still gambling, brother.
Okay.
If you lose and you invest and whatnot, you bought too high, brother. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not giving advice. You gave advice.
No. I'm giving advice to realize who you are, and if you can take that hit.
But it's just interesting because we have a chance to really bring down a financial system that was built against us.
That's the ethical part of everything that you're doing.
But people that are selling, we call them paper hands. It's like, I can't blame you, brother. You made $100,000. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good job.
That would be me.
1,500 is not going to really do anything for me. So I'm like, I ain't trying to make $200, $300, $400. Right?
That's why I'm a horrible
That's
gambler.
why I'm like holding, bro. I'm just like, man, I would like to see $5,000 come out of this. That would be sick.
Yeah, I'm taking, how much? I bought it for $6. It's at $8. Give me that $2. That's the most awful approach to gambling.
Well, I mean, there's people like that, and they're like, bro, I bought in at like 12, and I sold at 100 and thought I was on top of the world, and now it's at 325, and you could have had, you 225% higher than what you took
But a lot
out.
of us don't think our luck is that good.
But that's cool because like those people are like, I needed this. I was affected by the 2008 crash, which if you don't know anything about, there's a movie called The Big Short. I'll go check that out, about a lot of these loans that are built up to be faulty and to not be good loans, bro. And that's not good. And normal folks that aren't going to read through this big old packet, that they prey on us, and it's our time to fight back. We need to organize, and we need to get back after these, people that don't like us. And I'm not anti-rich. I'm anti-evil.
Gotcha.
And so, this is a chance to get after these fucks. Pardon my language.
No, I think that's the key part that's the part that I've noticed gets you excited. The money's good, but the fact that somebody's waking up to how the system is rigged or tilted towards another area, and now somebody's figured out a glitch in the game.
And there's plenty of evidence to back those claims up. I mean, Robinhood is the app that like literally stopped people from buying shares.
Yeah, I know that.
That
I heard
is,
that.
There should be absolutely illegal. People should be in jail for that. Because if you're talking about a free market and whatnot, what they're doing, what the argument is like, oh, like we're just trying to save people from huge losses. It's like,
that's
if
not
you're
your job.
Exactly. If you're an adult and you have enough money to upload,
so that's like a poker dealer saying, hey, I'm going to cut you off before you lose all your chips.
I'm not even going to let you buy in for that much because it looks like everybody else is better than you, so we're just going to save that money.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
And you find out that that owner of the Robinhood has connections to the hedge funds. They all bail each other out, and so a hedge fund has bailed out the legit hedge fund that we're trying to go after, but that got affected by the most, and so they bailed them out. That hedge fund has connections with the owner, the CEO of Robinhood.
We all know that I think one thing,
and that tells us, hold, baby, we're gonna get them diamond hands soon. Let's go.
Hopefully, man. I mean, as a person on the outside looking in, I have a sickness of rooting for the underdog.
Yeah, you got shares, throw it in the chat. We'll be rooting for each other.
Yeah, I will pass those along to people that can take advantage of them. I will be a conduit for you.
And right now I'm just, I'm looking forward to checking on it throughout the work day and just like being like, let's go, or like, should I buy? So
okay,
that's what I'm doing lately.
All right. So
it's big news, man, financial, because it's going to be tied to the politics too. Yellen, Biden's Treasury Secretary, is connected. She got $800,000 from these hedge funds that are associated with it. for speaking fees and whatnot. You
Yeah.
know, these people get absolutely filthy rich because when the time comes, right, I overpaid you so you could do me some favors.
Of course. It's a favor for a favor.
Yeah. And that's not cool.
Okay. So, slight transition over to the wife's question about
revenge and justice.
Yeah, the difference between revenge and the difference between justice. And you have your phone? Pull up the definition of justice.
Okay.
Because I claim to be smart. And I think I know the answer to it. But I also, and we'll talk about this whenever I take my little selfish segment about how I think and how my brain operates.
So justice is a just behavior or treatment.
Okay.
Noun, right? And the second one is a judge or magistrate, in particular, a judge of the Supreme Court of a country, or so like Justice Roberts or whatever. So just behavior or treatment, so just treatment. The sentence is a concern for justice, peace, and genuine respect for the people.
There should be another one somewhere down there that says something about some rules or...
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
The administration of the law or authority in maintaining this, a tragic miscarriage of justice.
Okay. So, in my opinion, justice is an expected outcome based on an agreed upon set of rules that our negotiations are happening on.
Sure.
The definition of revenge can't be, in my opinion, can't be tied to justice because they're not. The question that my wife has is like, what's the difference? Because I think in a sentence I had used them in the same context.
The revenge is an action inflicting hurt or harm on someone for an injury or wrong suffered at their hands.
Right.
So revenge.
So an injustice. So you could have an injustice and you could seek revenge.
Yeah.
On that. And my statement, because again, I draw parallels, A Time to Kill, Samuel L. Jackson. I believe had justice...
Great movie, by the way.
Great movie.
Yeah.
I believe that had justice been served to those two men, there would have not been a revenge factor.
Right. So...
He said, Jake, I know them boys going to get off.
Yeah.
And they did. And spoiler alert, he killed them because he didn't feel like justice was served for what happened to his daughter.
Yeah.
Can you have revenge when there's been no injustice?
No.
Okay.
Right?
I don't think you can. I think you can just be evil at that point because if there's been no wrongdoing,
Right.
and you just decide to
You're the
inflict,
initiator,
if you're the initiator of that wrongdoing.
So it's very important to know, be intelligent about it, right?
Because I hear some people saying, this is an injustice.
What?
And that context. I think if we're looking at, let's use a police murder. Okay. A police murdered. Why did the policeman get murdered? I'm not advocating none of this. I'm speaking solely objectively from a mathematical, a non-emotional standpoint.
Okay.
So if a policeman killed someone,
Okay.
and it wasn't justified by the constructs or rules that they have adhered, they are sworn to, and that we are under the impression that they're to abide by.
Okay.
Is someone killing the policeman justice for the injustice?
No.
That's revenge, right?
That would be revenge.
Okay.
Because you're trying to hurt and harm them, where the justice would be, we have a set of rules for the injustices and we need to follow those laws. Why? Because we all are part of the society. We all participate. We all vote and pay
We
our
all
taxes.
agreed to it. That's what
we all
it is.
agreed to it. Yeah, we
Right
signed
or
it on
wrong?
that dotted line. Remember why it's dotted. Get a magnifying glass if you don't know. So yeah, it's revenge, and all of a sudden you are now on the offensive rather than the defensive. I would associate revenge with defense. No.
Yeah, I would believe you're defending your
Revenge
your
is
thoughts.
the old thought of an eye for an eye, right?
In that construct, yes, because the law is in our hands. I think where it gets muddled is when you put an intermediary, when you put someone in between you and I, similar to what we've done. We've signed away. We said yes.
Yeah, no, I got you. I like
we
it.
said yes, we want you to govern us.
Yeah, we got a referee. You and I are fighting the whole time. He keeps raising my hand up even though you kicked my ass.
Right. So at that point, I would feel that there's an injustice based on the set of rules.
Yeah.
But if, and I may have you look up the definition of vengeance, say that police officer killed someone and he was found guilty of the murder and something still happens to him. That I don't think is revenge. I think that falls under the guise of vengeance.
Vengeance, punishment inflicted or retribution exacted for an injury or a wrong. Yeah.
So based on the definition of that,
It's punishment.
it's punishment for something that I feel I've been wronged. No constructs,
Yeah.
no rules.
Yeah, we never really decided that was going to be, but this is the way it happened, and we got our vengeance.
And that makes me appreciate the Tupac line that I will not finish when he said, I ain't a killer, but don't push me. Revenge is like the sweetest joy. Once I've thought about those definitions of the words, I could understand how getting justice for an injustice would feel good.
Yeah. No, you can always,
And I think
connect with people's point of views if you choose to by putting yourself in their perspective. And I think teaching people how to do that should be important moving forward. Teach your children how to look at life from a different person's perspective. I think that's a good tactic, parenting tactic,
or maybe it's
teach
not
it to an adult or whatever.
Yeah, and okay, so now we're gonna.
Maybe it's not.
So, dear wife, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. That's our opinion on the difference between vengeance, revenge.
I would like to talk about that more, but just like give us something to actually talk about.
Yeah,
like
I would
in
love
this
to have
situation,
some scenarios.
Like yeah.
But I like where you ended that last statement about teaching people. I'm gonna educate people on me. I'm a mixed person. Mom's white, dad's black. I'm not gonna say I've been torn, because up until 14 years old, I knew I was mixed. I went to a predominantly black school. They told me I wasn't black because the white lady kept picking me up, and mathematically they were correct. They said, you're mixed because you have curly hair. I know it's hard to believe now. And then when I moved to Norman, which was a predominantly white town, University of Oklahoma, I was told that, oh no, you're not mixed. Did you know there's the 1 drop rule in the Constitution about if you got 1 drop of black in you, you're a Negro, like you're black. And that was the day that I decided that I wasn't either one of those things, that I'm mixed.
You decided to define who you are.
Well, I just knew that I'm over here, we're humans. We try to find groups that we fit into.
Yeah.
And I know I was like, no. All right, this is me. So my entire life from 7th grade on has been about, how are you viewing it? How are you viewing it? What are the similarities and what are we actually talking about?
Yeah.
So when you were talking about teaching kids that, and in some cases teaching adults that, some people teach them perspective. And if you're not going to be able to be objective in the way that you look at things, I speak in multiple ways because I know that I have multiple audiences.
Sure.
If we're in the trenches and this person's fighting at this person, I am built to get a helicopter view to figure out what's actually happening compared to both and find those similarities. So from a perspective standpoint, if you cannot be objective,
right,
you at least have to accept that someone else can be. They're not going to force you to be objective, and you're not going to force them to be narrow-minded.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's what it is. So why am I saying all this? Because I want people to understand. I have some friends that hate, I have black friends that hate white people. I have white people that hate black people, but they love me. And because in my opinion, it's character over color.
He also has friends that love everybody too.
Well, I have a couple, but that's not the majority of my friends. Majority of my friends are like, no, man, no, you got to look at it from this angle. I have, and that is the only angle you're looking at it from.
Right.
So in that scenario, you're always going to feel wronged.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's levels. I know there's context. Like if I hear someone say, well, he shouldn't have did that. Based on what? If you slap me and I shoot you, did I take it too far? Probably. But how is that not in your thought process of extremes? You're either going to do nothing or you're going to kill me and everything in between.
Yep.
But some people are so narrow-minded that they're like, I can't believe they did that. To which my response is then you're not thinking.
Right.
Because if you can't believe it, that means you haven't been paying attention to your examples in life, or taking it back to LA, you didn't believe what was told to you on those tapes about what would happen to you if you were caught in this scenario, in this situation. Mm-hmm. So I get passionate about stuff. I care about more things than I should care about, just because I feel like my job is to try to, if not teach you to be a critical thinker, like we were talking about earlier, to at least teach you how to understand when you are dealing with the critical thinker and how you should navigate not getting the outcome you expect. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I like that in the, the critically thinking part, and we were talking about it off camera, but not a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say that.
No, I think it is not a lot of people will do it across the board.
Well, just even like know how to do that. Like they just feel like they are, but in like actuality, what I believe critically thinking in, that's where the perspective comes in. Like being able to put myself in your spot to try to understand like your opinion on things coming from, based on the information, what you told me about the way you were brought, right? Mm-hmm. And I take everything into consideration and be like, okay, do I understand why he thinks that way? Yes. Okay. And then now you can move forward, right? And if it's no, it's just like, well, then let me ask more questions. Let me try to get more information. Let me try to do. Well, people will just take a topic with an article associated with it and just get one opinion based on that. And I'm like, yo, you need to read out what are other people saying. Let's, bring it together and really take a step back, where that's your analogy of the helicopter view. Let's take a step back. Let's put it all in front and be like a detective with, those connecting, the little connections and like circles, and being like, okay, what is actually happening, taking all the information that's accessible. And what's cool is that we are in an age where a lot of information is accessible, but we don't know which ones are true and which ones are this. So that's why it's just like you need to
find the central concept.
More, you need to
sit find and this idea
and really think
and look at the offshoots.
And that takes time, Stan, and mental effort, and a lot of times in our day-to-days, we do not have that, especially if we have kids, which I'm sure a lot of us do.
Let me ask this. Does emotions come into play with critical thinking?
Absolutely.
Should it?
No.
Okay,
no. Yeah, no.
Okay, but it does, right?
Oh, yeah, dude. Because people think with their emotions all the time, right?
So can you be a good critical thinker? Can you be analytical?
No.
If you're driven by your emotion?
No.
Okay. So one of the first things, and this is something that I have to tell myself, I think I was talking pre-recorded. I was talking about when I rap. When I rap, I hear a hater always telling me, "Oh, you think you're this? Oh, you think you're that?" Like I shaved today. The only time I shave is when I have something to do. If I have nothing to do, I look disheveled. I looked homeless on purpose because I don't want you to fall in love with the image. I'd rather you understand the brain and how I think. So why am I saying that? When I rap, I am talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my life experiences. I don't write in fiction. May I say something? If I make a statement that sounds like fiction, it's probably me projecting what I think, not what is fact. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference. I know for a fact I'm old. played basketball earlier. I can't move like I used to. I'm still effective. I'm always going to say that because I've never been one that I'm under the impression that you need to adapt and evolve or you die off. So while I'm here, I'm going to adapt. I'm going to evolve. That goes to a statement of somebody saying, man, I can't stand this person. Why? I'm the dummy that's going to ask why and say, okay, well, and here I go with trying to draw my parallels.
Yeah.
It's my gift and my curse. So I know for some people, I'm annoying. I have a job where I constantly try to drill home a workflow or a process of, hey, it says you're supposed to do this here. Why didn't you do it? Well, okay, and I said, my bad. I guess what I was really asking is, can you start doing it? Because it doesn't matter why you did it. It's not supposed to happen this way.
Right.
And
I could feel that as a teacher.
Yeah, I get a lot of people that get mad at me for sticking to the construct that we agreed upon.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like he's being mean. It's not, to me, it's not mean.
Sounds
if
like
A plus B is supposed to, that's what I mean. And as an emotional person, because sometimes you hear me get my voice out, I get emotional. And for me,
there's nothing wrong with being emotional. But
No.
if it hinders your ability to kind of take in different perspectives and analyze everything in front of you,
then there's something wrong with you being
there's
emotional.
There's something wrong with that because it's building walls, and you don't even know that they're there.
A lot of times I tell people, hey, look, math doesn't have feelings.
No.
Like
That's
1
why
plus 1
poker's
is 2.
awesome, you know.
Yeah, okay, for basketball. Hey, coach, I feel like you're mad at me. No, I'm just saying you missed 7 of those shots.
Yeah.
Mathematically, this is not productive for us to win. Do I want you to make them? Every one of them. Yeah. I don't care if they go off the
rooting for you,
backboard.
boss.
Yeah, like I don't care how they look. I just need them points.
Yeah.
So it's not. So segueing back to the context and to life experiences, and I feel like you're talking about me. What if I am? What if you're talking about me? That's when I think you need to have some objective views about why someone is saying something and this is the key part for myself, to figure out whether or not you need to continue having those conversations. Because as a fixer, as someone who's, oh, you're having issues, let me see if I can use my brain to figure out how to help you not have those issues. That's how I'm wired. And I need to take my own advice to say sometimes I should not ear hustle. Sometimes I should not look for opportunities for people that don't want to be helped, for narrow-minded people who only want you to see their view.
Yeah, I can feel that. Absolutely. There's people that I know in the previous conversations that it's just going to lead to the same spot that it had in the last 4 or 5.
I start with those people. I start there.
So I don't even try anymore.
No, but my dumb ass.
Well, yeah.
We'll start like,
So
all right, look, last time we talked, we ended here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much all it is. Oh, okay. So how about them Raiders?
Yeah.
You don't even like the Raiders. I know. How about me shampooing my chest hair? What does that have to do with it? You're right. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But if you're going to draw some crazy-ass, narrow-minded parallel, I'm going to go all the way over here. So you realize that we probably don't have much to talk about because my dumb ass is going to keep showing up to talk.
Show. And my dumb ass is still imagining him with shampoo on his chest hair.
Oh, that's the only hair I can shampoo, man.
Your eyebrows and shit.
Yeah, that's the excuse of, hey, you want to go? You want to hang out later? Oh no, I'm shampooing my chest hair. What? No, because when I told you no, you didn't believe no.
Right.
So I got to come up with something outrageous for you to say, oh, I get it.
Yeah. You know, and I appreciate you letting us in on some of those things. But I mean, I always took it, or the way I kind of took it was like, well, just if I'm on the other side of this and I kind of was mentioning to you, like, hey, are you talking about, just take this as learning experience. Like there's always learning moments, like whether it's just learning about who Lee is or learning how to approach Lee in the future, or even just like learning, like understanding the way different people think and how minds work. You know, there's always moments where we can take in that will benefit us as humans. And I think that's a good approach to have in anything that happens in the day. Like, think about it as you're laying in bed tonight, like, what did you learn today? And if the answer is nothing, then you didn't really approach the day that is needed for our world to progress. Like, you got to be able to be in the here and the now. And sometimes I get like, I'm checked out, right? I'm not available, but in reality, like, my brain is chosen.
No, you've checked out of that particular moment, but you have not checked out of any type of thinking.
Exactly. And I'm not, might not be something that you like, right?
Yeah.
Depending on who you are. But my mind is always matriculating, and in the end of the day, I always ask this question, like, did I leave it better? Like, if I were to pass away in the middle of the night, I know it's kind of morbid, but
it's a concept I think about also.
A legacy that someone could be proud of, and typically, and I'm getting better at being nicer to myself. It's usually, yeah. So, I've made a ton of wrongs and whatnot, but I am a thinking man. I am a philosophizer, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I think that, that's benefited me. And that just could be my intelligence, my genes and whatnot. But there's always been this drive in me to want to know more and more and more. And it stemmed from when I was a kid and I would hear adults talk. And I didn't necessarily know. And when I tried to enter into the conversation, oh, you don't need to know. It's like, don't worry about it.
Talk.
Yeah, it's grown folks talk. Yeah, that irritated the shit out of me. So as I grew up, I always wanted to never be in those situations where I had to, like, ask what you're talking about. I always wanted to, and that kind of benefited me in the fact that now I know a little bit about a ton of shit.
That's me.
I'm not necessarily like a certain expert in any certain direction, but I know a little bit about, like, a lot of different types of things.
That's where I would listen to rap music and hear, like I said, you're all in a bad spot. You call it this, you call it that, okay? Like, the reason that I'm so nosy about shit, the only reason I took Spanish was for the last 30 seconds of the NWA song, Fuck the Police. When that Mexican dude was cussing out the policeman, I wanted to know what he said. That is the only reason I took Spanish. Swear to God. So whenever I took it, I remember her name was Miss Hawkins. I was like, hey, bring something in, I'll translate it. I'm like, oh, you will? All right. So I play it at the end of the class, and she was like, oh, there's different dialects. Senor Blanco, there's different dialects and then from different regions, similar to America. You have Southern slang, you have East Coast, you have this. And
what did he say?
No, and she was like, I can't really translate it. And I was like, oh, okay. But, it was ninth grade.
It was bad.
I'm playing. No, she told me what it meant. I'm in ninth grade. People think I'm cool because I done snuck away to play NWA during class.
Right.
So she's like, Senor Blanco, after the bell rang, she's like, come here, I want to show you something. She waited till everybody left, and she was like, she said, fuck you, you fucking pigs. I hope you die, and some assholes. And I was like, oh. She was like, don't ever bring that shit in my class again. She's like, but I told you I would translate it. I'm going to translate it. I'm like, which word meant asshole? She was like, culedos. She's like, but I meant what I said. Some of it I couldn't understand. She's like, because we're teaching you proper Spanish from Spain.
Yeah, right.
But blah, blah, blah.
No, I have a story too. I remember one of my buddies was like talking to me about Spanish words as I was taking Spanish. And, he was talking about slang for border jumpers.
Okay.
Right? And mojados.
Okay, hold on. I've got a story about that too. Yeah.
And I asked my teacher, and I was like, "What is this?" So and I didn't know, and I was ignorant, enough not to look it up before I asked my teacher, and I could just see his whole facial expression.
Was he Mexican?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I asked him what a mojado is. He goes, "So a person with a wet back," And I was like, "Oh," I'm like,
okay.
Oh. And then like as I'm sitting there thinking about, it, I'm like, "Oh, wet back." I was like, "Oh shit."
So I moved here in '99.
Yeah.
It's 2001. Lunch, co-workers.
My friend was Mexican too.
Okay, lunch, co-workers. We're Mexican.
Right.
We go to Jack in the Box on Ocean. Mm-hmm. We're in line. Mm-hmm. You know how small that place is.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in line. They're mopping the floor.
The fuck?
I'm reading the sign, piso mojado. My coworker turns to me like this and was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, what? She's like, look. And everybody working for Jack in the Box was looking at me like, what are you fucking doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm reading the fucking sign.
Yeah.
And she's like, you just called everyone in here wetbacks. And I'm like, No, okay, look. If I did, who the fuck puts racial slurs on mop signs? But I learned multiple, and then I thought about it. It's not really the term, but it's been used for that.
Yeah.
Like chongo for blacks with Mexicans.
Mm-hmm.
They're not saying it's a good monkey.
Right.
Or like the word mayate.
Mm-hmm.
When I've had some people say, oh man, it's just a beetle. You're right, but apparently no one wants to be that beetle.
Yeah. Right.
So I want to learn as much as I can. So when I'm hearing shit, be it grown folks, be it gang related shit, be it police, stocks, the healthcare industry, I want to be knowledgeable about the conversations that are happening around me.
Amen.
Tying all that up to say, when you look at me, and more than likely when you look at him, we are asking questions because we truly want to know, but we also want to know because we're trying to figure out what context you're using it in, how should I do it. I'm going to, and let me say this the right way. I don't have a judge gown or a gavel, but I'm built to judge you first and then remove the judgment and take an objective view. I cannot help the way that my brain works. I'm judging you.
I could feel that, and you do it subconsciously.
No. I'm consciously judging your ass.
I subconsciously do, even when I consciously trying not to.
Right.
And I always have this thought, whenever I'm driving, I'll see someone wearing maybe something too small for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, boom, immediately judgment. I'm like, have you looked in the mirror, yo? What are you wearing?
And they might have been like, yeah, this is the longest one I had. I wish I could have had something shorter.
And they could be perfect people, personality-wise, the kindest people, but I'm just, and that's probably built from a lifetime of brainwashing.
I don't think it is. I think when you were taught, the first time you were taught, and I'm just now thinking about this, hey, what is this? Flashcards. What is this?
Yeah.
What is this? So we were taught with that equals this in my brain, that equals this in my brain, and then you learn, okay, yeah, that does, but now take it deeper, take it deeper, take it deeper, take it deeper.
Yeah.
I don't know that a lot of people, when we were talking about critical thinking, you used the word mental effort, and what came in my brain is how many people think that critical thinking does not mean you feel like you're in critical condition as you think.
Right.
But I think based on the amount of mental effort that a lot of people have to put out, they're like, oh, this shit's too hard.
Yeah.
I'm in critical condition right now, so I must have been critically thinking. No, sir. You gave up.
Or this notion that you could be done with critically thinking, take a topic and think about it, and come to a conclusion in that sitting. Where I'm open enough to be well, it might take me a few days to get an opinion on something, because
and that's all I know at this moment.
Maybe more information might be coming around my way in order to gain more insights on it, and not have an ego enough to change, and not have an ego enough to, if I get new information, to be open-minded enough to change my opinion on something. And some people think that that they can just figure this out in one. You can't. It takes time. It takes a lifetime. Always be a student. Always try to add more to the bank, the information bank, in order to make good, sound opinions,
and to help others. The more information you
use
write
information
out,
you have to help others. I like that for sure.
Because if you say you read a book and you're like, oh yeah, I know more. In my opinion, I'm not saying you should write a book, but if you have the ability, you should definitely add on to that, so that when someone else, going back to role players, when someone else reads that, you can say, okay, I see the whole story. This is where I fit in. This is so-and-so. This is this person. And together we make this work. As opposed to, man, don't nobody give a shit about that, man. What's up? Where we kicking it at tonight?
Right.
That could be in any
what
language.
We drinking?
Yeah, what we drinking,
you got
what
my
we
40,
smoking.
homie.
What we doing this, what we doing that, where the hoes at, where the men's is at, where this.
The good old days.
No, I was always old, man.
You were?
Yeah.
Me too.
My ex used to tell me, you're a 19-year-old, 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
And it was,
I could see that.
That was a situation where she was like, let's get a babysitter. And I'm like, for what? I want to go to the club. I'm like, you go to the club to get ass. And she was like, no, I go to dance. I'm like, okay, well, girls might go to the club to dance. Dudes only go to the club to dance and try to get ass. At least from what I've seen growing up.
Right.
You just don't want to go anywhere. You're an old man. Okay, fuck it. I'm an old man. When I moved here at 23, you've been around me enough to know that I would only go to clubs if I was doing rap shows.
Right.
So there's ass there. Like, I'm not going to hang out at no bars.
No.
I'm not going to hang out, but just because, and part of that is me being an import. Growing up with the pocket of blacks and the pocket of whites and me trying to figure out where I fit in, the one thing I've noticed is that people will gang together against something to feel like they have something. You're not going to do that on me.
It's a good GameStop.
Rap music too, you're not going to do that to me. There was somebody who said, who is the top rappers in A31? And the people started throwing names out. No, but that means something to some people.
Yeah.
People started throwing names out and somebody threw my name out. And I replied, I'm honored, but as an import, I don't feel like I'm eligible for this because I wasn't raised here. And somebody said that shouldn't matter. But all I hear is, at the end of the day, man, they ain't even American racism, Taiwanese racism against someone else. You're not from here. Don't think you're like us. And back to the hater, as I write, I start from that viewpoint of what am I, how am I going to be viewed, and what do I want people to understand about me in this situation? Similar to this exactly like this show. Next on deck, I had somebody hit me up asking about a porch session. For those that don't know, Porch Sessions was my previous show where I would be on the other side of the camera. I was using people for promotion because I didn't want to be on this side of the camera because and I'm still like this, I would rather you listen to my music than like my face and then back into the music. I'd rather you start with the music. So the Porch Session was me showcasing other people and what they had to offer, and me putting it on my YouTube channel knowing that they would eventually find my music via that avenue. So the Porch Sessions comes about because I kind of, want to be on the other side of the camera and let you know how I think about things. So if we do come into contact in person, on the internet, text, whatever, you'll understand why I am. I am the devil's advocate and the angel's assistant. I will always be able to argue both sides so I can be objective about it. No matter who I'm with, I can have a good viewpoint.
I appreciate just this being like an avenue for us to engage in conversation about real topics that we all can learn from, but are going to affect us sooner or later. Like the fact that we're talking about what's going on in the world and how to critically think. I think it's just a beneficial show, beneficial experience. And I'm honored to be a part of it, no matter how big or how small this thing turns out to be. It doesn't really matter. But like I said, in the end of the day, I think about what I'm going to leave behind. Can someone be proud of it? And I think we both can be proud of it. And, taking this opportunity to let people know who you are shouldn't be something to be, scoffed at. It's a cool thing. And it's just an open opportunity to engage in conversation with you. If you see us around, you want to talk, we're more than happy to. Stan, been a pleasure.
Nope. Thank you, sir. Episode 3 in the books. We're going to do this every Sunday. In the event that we don't have a Sunday because it's raining or something like that, we will find a way to get a weekly show in. If you would like to be guests, I may try to figure out how to do, somebody was saying Skype. I ain't using Skype. Like, I'm not.
We'll figure it out if there's enough intrigue, for sure.
Well, and if there's a feasible way to do it, because if I have to set up 32 things, I'm big on equal shares and equal helping. If I got to do all the work, I'm probably going to make sure that I can just maintain a certain level of continuity as opposed to trying to compete with the big boys. In my mind, I want to compete with the big boys. I want a round table. Each person has their own microphone. I want a video editor. I want somebody to extract the audio so we can put it up on this and that. But I'm not there yet. We will be, though. By 2022, we will have a platform to where you can plug in multiple people and not miss a beat. Right now, I'm just going to enjoy these nice little microphones that we got. I want to shout out my son for letting me use his dongle. That sounded weird, but those that know, no.
GameStop, buy it.
Yeah, he wants you to buy GameStop. I want you to too, and then tell me what happened so I can have a reference point and a viewpoint so that next time somebody talks to me about something, I can be like, oh yeah, I knew this person that did this and did that, and I also know people like me who ain't gonna spend that money. That's Applebee's money.
There's some cool memes out there with like the Baby Yoda, like it says like, you know, just watching, and then like the next part is like die trash, like rooting against the billionaires.
And that is, please understand, the GameStop situation is the underdogs striking back.
Yeah, you know, these peeps are billionaires, and when it's all said and done, they're probably still going to be billionaires. But we might have some of that fuck money.
They just don't like us knowing the cheat codes.
You do enough research and critically think, you can find it, because a lot of these people's egos are so big, they tell us their fucking ways anyway. And that goes for politics too. Politics.
Hold on. Yeah,
we don't have time to talk about it.
So next week,
next
week I want to talk about politics. We talked about it a little earlier, because I want to talk about the fact that a lot of politicians are looked at by their voters as saviors. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying what I'm noticing from Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. What I've noticed in this last little period of time is people are like, oh, he's gonna save the day. Like over and over and over. She's gonna save the day. And it kind of, that'll be a topic for episode 4.
For sure. I want to talk about fatherhood too. Sorry, Mom, we didn't get around to it.
But yeah, we're gonna talk about fatherhood too.
For sure.
All right.
All right, y'all.
Take it easy.
Take care.